Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so glad that you could be part of our webinar where we'll be discussing all things Camino, but mainly we're going to be focusing today on how to choose the right Camino route for you. Um, so my name is Catherine Baldwin. I will be giving the presentation today. I've been a Camino consultant at Follow the Camino for the past 2 years, but I'm originally from Rhode Island in the US, and I've been living in Dublin for about 3 years now. My first Camino was on the Portuguese Way about 2 years ago, and I've just gotten back from doing my most recent walk on the Via Francigena from Lucca to Siena. For me, at least, the Camino is a great way just to get more quality time with myself, with my walking partner, and kind of less screen time, and to get outside. And I'm also really motivated by big dinners at the end of a long walking day. So just to let you all know, before we get started, there is a chat function as part of the webinar. So feel free to introduce yourself, let me know your name, where you're joining us from today, and feel free to write down any questions that you have about the Camino. I'll be answering all your questions at the end of the webinar. So a little bit about what we'll be talking about today. I'll do a quick run through of who we are as Follow the Camino and what we do, and then of the different ways that you can experience the Camino and how to choose the right way for you. So who we are a Dublin-based company established in 2006 as part of One Foot Abroad. And we are a diverse, multilingual team here in Dublin, all with people who love the Camino and are passionate about walking. So all of us have done different routes at different times. And we have clients from all over the world. We've been lucky enough to build a 97% customer satisfaction rating. And through our about 10 plus years of experience, we've built a fantastic network of hotels and service providers all over not only Spain, but Portugal and the rest of Europe as well. We also have our sister company, One Foot Abroad. So once you've kind of done your Camino, maybe done a few more routes and want to branch out to something else, there's routes for you all over Europe. So we would be able to help you through our sister company, One Foot Abroad, to do that. So just a quick overview of what we do. So mainly, we are with you pretty much or virtually every step of your way during your Camino journey. We'll start by getting you hooked up with one of our Camino consultants, someone like me, who will help match your interests with the right route for you and your fitness level and everything to build an itinerary that's custom to you. We'll then pre-book all of your accommodations, arrange your luggage transfers, and send you your road book, your walking notes, your luggage tags, and everything you'll need before you go. But mainly, we really pride ourselves on customer support. So I will help you or one of my colleagues before you go to get all of your questions answered and make sure that you're doing the right route for you. And then while you're out walking, we've got our 24/7 emergency phone number. So the two main ways that you can experience the Camino are walking and cycling. For both, you're going to want to have a pretty reasonable level of fitness, but for both types of experience, we can tailor your itinerary to you and to your fitness level and how much you'd like to walk or cycle each day. For cycling in particular, it does help to be a regular cyclist, just so you've got that experience under your belt of doing multiple days of cycling, so that you're going to be comfortable and be able to have the most fun while you're out there. Walking would be the most social way to do the Camino because you're going to meet lots of other pilgrims, and it's just a slower way of experiencing the routes and just getting to chat to other people. Cycling would be great to do if you are looking for some more solitude or you're going with a group of people because you're not going to be able to kind of chat during your walking days as you would while you're walking. I'm sorry, during your cycling days as you would while you're walking. But you do have more freedom to take detours off of the Camino. So either way, if you're looking to get your Compostela certificate in Santiago, if you're walking, you're going to want to walk at least 100 kilometers, or if you're cycling, that would be 200 kilometers into Santiago so that you can get that certificate from the Pilgrim's Office for having completed that section of the Camino. So the Camino today, there are 9 main routes that lead into Santiago. Historically, the Camino Francés, which would be this route running across northern Spain here, that would be the most well-known and most frequently walked because it would have been the way that most pilgrims from the rest of Europe would have been funneled across the Pyrenees and across northern Spain into Santiago. But pilgrims would have come from all over, and there are the different routes that they would have walked to reach the city. So you'll see here that most people do walk the Camino Francés, followed by the Camino Portugués, and then the other routes, with the majority of people walking and about 6% cycling. So the best time of year in general to be on any of these routes is between mid-April and October. Outside of these months, you can still do the Camino, and most routes will be accessible to you, but I would definitely say to bring a rain jacket and plan for it to be very quiet with more limited access to accommodations. So in order to have the best experience possible, between mid-April and the end of October would be the time to go. So with all of these routes available to you, it can be kind of overwhelming to determine which is the right route for you and where you should start. So we found that the best way to determine that is kind of by doing a bit of self-reflection and asking yourself a few questions. So these are a few questions that we've compiled to kind of help you narrow down where to start. So the big question will be, do you want to reach Santiago? If receiving that Compostela certificate is a priority, or if you want to get to that cathedral and have kind of reached the ending of the route, then this will really help you narrow down where to start and what route will be good fit for you. If you don't want to reach Santiago, that's great too. There's so many other places to explore. And we at Follow the Camino have divided each route into helpful sections with convenient starting and finishing points for airports and public transportation that are each about a week long. So you can kind of look at a section and kind of see that as a contained route to do instead of reaching Santiago. So the next question to ask yourself would be, how much time do you have? If you're walking self-guided, we can really customize your itinerary to whether you have 3 days or 3 weeks. So if reaching Santiago is a priority, you can kind of start farther back from the city based on how much time you have. But I would say generally it's best to kind of plan for 1 week of walking and then 2 weeks to really get settled into a walking rhythm. Or if you have more than 3 weeks, you can walk up the full Camino route, which is exciting. So the next question would be, what is your fitness level? So a typical Camino walking day would be about 12 to 15 miles per day, or 20 to 25 kilometers. So there are going to be routes that we can tailor to you if you're looking to do something shorter. But if that sounds like a good distance, then you can kind of challenge yourself with more elevation or just some longer walking days and for slightly harder routes. So it would be important to note that the most popular routes, such as the Camino Francés or Camino Portugués, those would be the ones that you'd have more flexibility for shorter days, whereas the routes with longer distances are usually more remote and often have higher elevations or just kind of more challenging terrains. So you'll kind of see which makes sense, the more populated routes are a bit easier, and then you kind of scale to the more complicated, more challenging routes, which are going to be quieter and more remote. So the good thing to do would be to go out and do a couple training walks and kind of determine what is your walking style. Are you looking for a really social experience with lots of people to chat to, or are you looking for some more solitude and some time for self-reflection? So as I mentioned before, the busy social routes are going to be associated with more services and amenities for pilgrims. So walking one of the routes on the Camino Francés or Portuguese will give you that social element, whereas the routes that are more quiet and more remote are going to require you to be more self-reliant. A great option if you are looking for something that's structured as well as social would be one of our guided tours. They run for about a week and walk a last 100-kilometer route into Santiago throughout the year. So now that you've kind of thought about what a Camino experience you'd like to have and what you need from your Camino route, we're going to talk about how to apply the answers to those questions to the actual Camino. So as I've mentioned before, reaching Santiago, if that's something that you'd like to do, you're going to want to walk one of the last 100-kilometer routes. So I've kind of organized these here for you from easier to more challenging. So starting with the Camino Francés and Camino Portugués, they would be very social, pretty buzzy, and relatively accessible for all fitness levels. Onto the Camino Portuguese coastal route, which would be a beautiful alternative to the inland way from Tui. And then getting to more challenging, such as the Camino Primitivo or to the Camino Inglés, which would be very quiet and offer some more challenging hill walking. So the last 100-kilometer routes are a great option because you need only about a week to complete them. You can do them in about 5 to 6 days if you're walking 20 to 25 kilometers per day, with both Camino Francés and Portuguese having options for shorter days. They're also really convenient because you can fly round trip to and from Santiago Airport with about a 1.5-hour drive or buses or trains out to the starting point to then walk back in. So if you didn't want to reach Santiago, there are so many different routes to explore depending on what would interest you, but I've named a couple here just to kind of show some highlights. So another really popular section would be to do the first section of the Camino Francés, coming across the famous Napoleon Pass through the Pyrenees from France into Spain. This is a beautiful route and would offer a first day of pretty challenging walking through the mountains, then some lovely Basque region walking into Pamplona and beyond. Many pilgrims will start with this route and then pick up year on year where they left off to continue all the way into Santiago. Another section would be picking up in Pamplona and then walking through La Rioja wine region to Logroño, the capital of that region, and then on to Burgos. This is a great section because it's through vineyards and there's great opportunities to explore different wineries. It's also pretty accessible walking, so you'll walk through the Meseta Plateau, and so it's not overly challenging in terms of hill walking and things like that. And then finally, if you did want to kind of start in Santiago, or if you've reached Santiago before, you can walk from Santiago out to Finisterre. This is an exciting route because it's very symbolic for lots of pilgrims to kind of leave everything they've carried with them here in Finisterre and not bring it back with them to their home. And to the Romans, this was actually thought of as the end of the world. So it's just a very interesting place to see and experience if reaching Santiago isn't as much of a priority. So if you have lots of time for your route, or for your Camino, you can complete a full route, such as the Camino Francés. This would be the one most people would do because it is the most social and has the most access to services and amenities for pilgrims. It takes about 34 walking days if you're walking at 20 to 25 kilometers per day, or about 12 to 15 miles. As I said, we've broken this down into 8 helpful sections for you through the bigger cities and then the smaller villages. So you could kind of do this over time if you needed to. So if you are looking for more of a challenge, there are also options for more mountainous walking with beautiful views that would be much more quiet. So one good example of this would be the Camino del Norte, particularly that first section from San Sebastian and then continuing to Oviedo. So this walks through the Basque country, and you'll see here there's beautiful seaside views and hilltop bluffs that you'll be walking through. And it would be more solitary, but with great scenery around. So that would be an excellent option. Similarly, you can pick up in Oviedo from the end of the Camino del Norte and walk the Camino Primitivo to Lugo and then on to Santiago. This would probably be the most challenging Camino route just in terms of elevation as you're walking through pretty rugged countryside and rural villages. So those days will be long, but it's, again, a very beautiful route and offers real time for some solitude as the route's very quiet. So as I've been kind of talking before, if you're looking for a more social route, the Camino Francés would be the where I would direct you, or to the Camino Portuguese, because you're really going to meet the most people on these routes, and everyone's very friendly and wants to chat and know where you're from and why you're walking. But it's also okay to want to walk on your own, in which case the Camino Inglés is a great option. That's a 100-kilometer route. So if you start in Ferrol, you can walk to Santiago in about a week, and get your Compostela certificate. And that offers a bit more challenging hill walking, but it's also a very quiet route. And our guided tours as well would be a great option for those looking to meet people. And then similarly, on the other side, if you wanted to do a more solitary experience, cycling is a great option. The route that's most popular for cycling and offers a really nice variety of scenery would be the Camino Portuguese Coastal Way. So this begins in Porto and cycles for 5 days into Santiago. For the first few days, you're going to be following the coastline north into Vigo, and then be turning inland to reach Santiago. And through that inland section, you'll be cycling through the Albariño wine region, which is always nice. So you get a nice mixture of cycle paths, quiet roads, countryside, and some woodland paths as well. But in the end, all roads do lead to Santiago, even if that's not your end destination. There's a route out there for everyone. So I'd recommend everyone to go out and do some training walks, just do some self-reflection and determine why you're walking and what you're hoping to get out of the Camino, and what will be a good fit for you. So we are happy to help you here at Follow the Camino to tailor your itineraries to you and plan your Camino your way. So as part of our packages, we will be sending you some more kind of pre-walking materials, such as our training plan and our packing list, things like that. But just to give you some tips today. So the Camino is for all levels of fitness. There's a route out there for everyone, but the biggest thing before you go will be just to get in some time walking as much as you can. So starting with one long walk a week and working up to 2 or 3, and if possible, 2 days in a row, if you can really get a feeling for doing a long walk and then starting again another one the next day. And if you can mix in hills and different types of terrain, that's always helpful. A most important thing as well would be to take your hiking boots that you're going to be wearing and to wear those all the time and really break those in so that you know they're going to be comfortable, not give you any blisters, and just to kind of test out all of your gear so that you're ready when you go and aren't packing too much. Which brings me to our packing list here. So if you have luggage transfer, you've got a bit more flexibility that you can bring more things. But if you are going to be carrying your own pack, you want to pack really light, casual, comfortable, light layers that you can interchange. One of the questions we often get is if there'll be laundry services on the Camino. Most of the hotels we work with will have some access to laundry, or there'll be laundry facilities nearby that you can use. Or many people will just kind of do a quick wash in the sink and hang their socks or something out their window or off their backpack the next day. So you'll see lots of laundry options along most of the popular routes like the Camino Francés and things like that. So we're so excited that you joined us for our webinar today. This is a bit more information just about who we are and what we do and how we're happy to help you to make the best experience on the Camino possible for you. So as a thank you for joining us to our webinar today, if you use the Camino webinar code the next 24 hours, you will get a surprise on your Camino once you've booked, which is very exciting. So that surprise could be a back massage, a foot massage, a tapas voucher, something fun like that. So it's just available for the next 24 hours. So you can contact us today by email or calling our office here, and we can get a quote out to you. And then once you've booked, you'll get that surprise on your Camino. And we are also offering a 10% off discount for all bookings placed this year for 2020. So that's always great. But we're so excited you could join us, and we'll be getting to questions next. Thank you so much.